All right, good morning. Thank you for coming. So today we're going to talk a little bit about robots and people. So obviously robots are a big subject right now. Everyone's very interested to know how are robots going to change the world? And how is that going to affect jobs? How is that going to affect people? Well, what we're going to talk about today is, first of all, figuring out who the heck I am and why I care. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about what robots do today, and then how potentially that's going to change in the future. And then I'm going to tell you why it needs to change. I think that's the important part. There's a problem that we need to solve. And in order for robots to reach their full potential, as well as for people to reach their full potential, we actually need the robots and the people to work together. And so that's what we're all about. So first of all, my name is Seth Patin. I'm the founder and CEO of two companies, LogistiVIEW, which is here presenting our connected worker platform for low skill or no skill labor. We optimize manufacturing, distribution, and retail. So I'm also the founder of a company called Expo, which is a warehouse management system implementation firm. That's my background. I've been in this business for just about 20 years. And I've seen a lot of things in the warehouse. And what I've observed every time is that we can do better giving people instructions. We really can. Long text screens, worse yet, pieces of, lengthy pieces of paper. These are not good ways to teach people anything. In fact, they're very difficult ways to teach people anything, especially if you're going to tell them, hey, go do this 1,000 times. It's not the best way. And so what we've built is a connected worker platform. And I'm going to introduce an idea to you that I think is really critical and we all need to accept. The new digital workforce is not just people. The digital workforce includes robotic assets. The digital workforce also includes artificial intelligence. As you go down the path of evolving your workforce over the next decade, all three of these elements will be critical. I don't believe in 10 years, I don't believe there will be a single company that doesn't have some sort of robotic interaction with its workforce. I also don't believe there's really going to be a single large successful company that achieves that without a substantial amount of artificial intelligence. And I'm not talking about Skynet AI. I'm talking about helping people make simple decisions. Think about a frontline worker. They have to answer three very simple questions over and over and over again all day long. Am I in the right place? Do I have the right thing? What do I do next? AI can help them answer that question. It doesn't have to be mind-blowingly complicated. Instead, it can be very simple and answer and drive simple insights that help people make better, more informed decisions. So let's talk about human-robotic collaboration in logistics. The robots are coming. How many of you have seen all of these headlines? They're coming to take our jobs. It's gonna, they're gonna take all the jobs. And what do we do then with all the millions of people who no longer have jobs? So, in case you haven't figured it out already, I disagree. Robots aren't coming to replace us. They're coming to replace all the conveyors that we have in our facilities. Those conveyors are bolted to the floor, and they cost millions of dollars, sometimes tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars. And if anything changes about your business, good luck scrapping it. It's about all you're going to get back for it. That's crazy. It has to change. That's not sustainable from an economic perspective, and realistically, it's not sustainable from an ecological perspective either. We can't constantly be building massive buildings, massive complex systems that have no chance to change, because the only thing we know is happening today is that every day everything is changing. That's the world we live in. So how can we build a solution for that world? Today we have goods to person and autonomous robotics. These are the two most common approaches in logistics and supply chain. Now I'm not talking about complex manufacturing robots. Obviously automobiles are built by very complex robots that do very specific things, and they do it very specific way. I'm talking about dynamic. I'm talking about the ability to respond to e-commerce, the ability to manage demand and manage supply and demand constraints within a distribution center or within a manufacturing plant. How do I get finished goods in? How do I get raw materials in? How do I get finished goods out? Once I have them in distribution, how do I get them to my customer in the most efficient way possible? How do I do it in a way that is economically sustainable? Because we don't all have the scale of Amazon. How can we build software solutions and technology solutions that allow us to have that same flexibility? So these are the two approaches, but what's the problem? Why is this a problem? Robots are doing cool things, right? I disagree. Robots are doing cool things, but we can do more. And we have to do more in order to achieve the potential of autonomous robotics, as well as to achieve the potential of humans to impact the workplace that they're in. So today, autonomous robots don't move a substantial amount of product. The number one way to reduce cost is to scale. You want efficiencies or economies of scale. And if you can't achieve economies of scale, then you're not really you're not driving a transition, you're just driving incremental improvement. Also, most interactions with robots are overly simplistic. You have a little iPad on a stand and you go over and you tap a button. That's great. You've fulfilled one order. How can you make it so that that is more complex so you can fulfill multiple orders, hundreds of orders even, in one particular movement? And so unfortunately right now, we only have a limit of flexibility and augmented capacity. So human interaction is overly simplified. We have to be able to get away from one interaction, one order. One interaction, one order. We have to be able to scale that interaction. We have to be able to drive more complexity in that interaction. It's not conducive to scale. Segregated goods to person robots, like the Kiva-style robots that Amazon bought many years ago, those robots are great if you have the scale of Amazon. But unfortunately, they're not really particularly efficient if you have a smaller scale operation. And again, because they don't allow to work side by side with people, they do require some very substantial investment into the infrastructure of your building. They're not exactly easy to move around. They're not exactly flexible. Once they're there, they're fast. But we need flexible. Otherwise, again, we're building things that are not economically sustainable. And then autonomous robots don't move enough product. If you take a look at that, that's one bin. Maybe you can batch pick into that bin and get a few orders that you can then take to a put wall or something like that. But in reality, that's not efficient. It's not moving enough product to really, truly impact the flow of a given facility. So again, you need much, much larger, much more expensive automation to actually move product at scale. But I believe that shouldn't be necessary. And so what we're trying to do is solve problems that replacing people without achieving an ROI isn't going to drive, replacing people without achieving higher scale is not going to drive ROI. It doesn't make sense if you go one for one, replacing a person with a robot. That's not going to solve the problem. Autonomous robots alone don't have the potential to replace larger and more complex automation. And again, we want flexibility. We want you to be able to make decisions in real time based on market demands, and then be able to take the investments you've already made and flex them into a different business model or to a different distribution channel without having to lose the investment that's been made in hard fixed assets. And if the robot cannot consistently move more than a person, then that ROI is never achieved. But how could it? There we go. So how does mixed reality, how does augmented humans solve this problem? That's what we're here to talk about, right? We're here because we want to learn how we can make people better with technology to help solve critical problems. First of all, the key to accuracy is mixed reality. It's augmented reality showing people how to do things in a way that is so intuitive and so simple that they don't have to think about it. It just happens automatically. Think about this, this example. If you have the ability to use augmented reality to light up things as simple as a green box, red box scenario, how many of you know in the right-hand picture which location he's supposed to be focusing on? It's extremely simple. It's extremely easy. And we can do the same thing with robots if we increase the scale and the size of how much product those robots are moving. Instead of moving bins, let's start moving shelves. And so that change, that shift from bins to shelves starts moving from 2 orders, 3 orders. Now you're moving 20 orders or 50 orders or 100 orders. And if you start talking about 20 robots or 50 robots or 100 robots moving 100 orders at a time, all of a sudden you're pushing thousands and thousands of orders through your process, but without having to have a massive conveyor to do it, because it has the ability to be flexible. So maximizing the ROI of autonomous robots requires an increase in the scale of robotic product movement. Not bins, shelves. And not even just small shelves, big shelves. Autonomous robots have the ability to recognize their surroundings quite substantially. So if you get the right robot, you have the ability to move a substantial amount of product, potentially the type of shelf that would really only be fixed or rolling pushed by a person. Instead, you move it autonomously with a robot. You enable more complex human interactions, then those robots can move all that product and all those shelves with a very simplistic interface to the people that are moving product off of the, from one shelf to the other or from one robot to the other. And if you orchestrate all those movements, then the people are doing the best thing, the thing that they're best at, which is making simple decisions and, fast, easy manual dexterity. And the robots are doing what they're good at, which is moving heavy amounts of product, large amounts of product from one place to another. But it's not bolted to the floor. There's nothing bolted to the floor in this model except for the structural steel. Which means if you need to change your business, all you do is you adjust the software. So what we need to be able to achieve maximum potential from robots and from people is software-defined automation, flexible automation. And so we need to create a process that's complex enough and scaled enough to rival the efficiency of fixed conveyors. That's something that is not possible today, but I believe in the very near future it will become possible. So here's why I believe it's going to become possible. We're doing it. So human instructions, simplified with AR, powered by AI, helping people make simple decisions easily. It's the key. There's never going to be an easy way to completely replace people with robots in this type of work. At least not in any of our near-term future. Robots are good at certain things, but people are very good at certain things too. And if you merge them together with the right technology enablement, then it actually drives up ROI and reduces upfront capital expense, because you can get people doing the things that they're best equipped to do, and the robots doing the things that they're best equipped to do. Simple visual instructions, making better, more informed decisions. This is frontline AI. Like I said earlier, this is not complicated. I've had people come up to me and tell me, this is an AI, this isn't smart enough. No, it absolutely is. That's the whole point. AI is about helping people, any people, make the right decision. And if we can help people with insights and decisions that otherwise they wouldn't have, that is a first step towards optimizing a critical part of the world's economy, frontline labor. There we go. Quick and accurate decisions, and this is important, even in unpredictable scenarios. So today we structure our buildings with substantial specificity. We spend months, possibly even years, planning the floor layout. And then if anything changes, it takes a year to implement that change and fully push it throughout the entire operation. What if that wasn't necessary? What if instead, because of the simplicity of instruction, and because of the ability to drive clear instructions, even in unfamiliar environments, you would be able to drive productivity. Unpredictable environments are important. E-commerce is unpredictable. How can we react to an unpredictable business environment with a system that allows us to also react in an unpredictable distribution environment or an unpredictable manufacturing environment? This is the key to making that happen. Enabling complex interactions, enabling better work. When I say complex interactions, I mean not 1 bin, 2 bin, 3 bin. But if I have a whole shelf, how do I direct a worker quickly to go exactly where they need to go, grab the right item, then come over to this robot and put it in the exact right spot so that robot can take it to the shipping dock? That is the critical factor for optimizing frontline labor. And so the key here is to maximize the potential of robots and people is to increase complexity and scale. It's all about complexity and scale. How do you rival fixed automation with robots? You have to increase the complexity and scale. But robots need to move more product, but doing it is complicated. So it's not going to be easy for robots to be able to move more product themselves. If you imagine a robot that's capable of picking, with all these robotic arms and having a large storage shelf as it moves along, that's $1 million robot. Today, we can instead have a robot that just moves the shelf that costs $50,000 or less, and then a person who's getting paid $15 an hour. If you enable that person with a good system to interact with that robot, the ROI on that person just skyrockets, because you don't have to pay the upfront capital to optimize that person. It's a very capital efficient process. So the key here is that we have customers asking for this, and so we've been driving forward, already planning on how to make this possible. And this week, we're really proud to announce a partnership with Fetch Robotics to start delivering solutions that go towards this direction. Fetch already has a fantastic autonomous robot platform, and they're looking for companies that are trying to optimize the efficiency and the flexibility of their operations. LogistiVIEW has a connected worker platform that we work with companies that are looking to optimize the flexibility of their people and their human capital. If you mix the two together and you build the right AI around it, it will give the potential to build human and robotic solutions that are 100% flexible, software-defined automation that actually has the potential to rival fixed automation. And so 10 years from now, I sincerely hope, and we're driving towards the idea that there will be nothing bolted to the floor except for structural steel, and that you will have the flexibility to react on demand to every change in your business without having to reinvent your entire operations. Instead, you can configure it in software. And so with that, I'll take any questions, and I encourage you to visit us at booth 400 to try out the connected worker platform.